the argument against the the argument in favor of the deportation of Mahmoud Khalil is that he has, and I'll just, not to mistake it here, poses a potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequence, his continued presence in the States. I say deemed to be...
And that's the exact language of the statute. There's no question, as Law of Self-Defense has pointed out, that the statute authorizes what the Trump administration is doing entirely. Question is it constitutional? If the sole and whole... Now, here's what the Supreme Court has also said, that you can selectively prosecute for deportation immigrants for political reasons. So the First Amendment, that's why I say they have First Amendment rights, just not as much as the U.S. citizens do.
So sorry, what you said is they can selectively prosecute.
They can selectively prosecute if their motivation is that, as long as they find a different immigration violation. What they can't do is solely deport them solely for their speech.
Okay.
That's what the Supreme Court, at least by implication in the Bridges case, Bridges v. California, established. And they repeated that in another Bridges case in 1945. By the way, they came back and tried to indict Harry, claiming Harry lied about being a commie. Supreme Court overturned that case. And there was another, Harry, they went after Harry for 15 years and he didn't care. That's why I have respect. It's like, okay, maybe he's got a little commie in him, but at least he's a fighter. At least he stands up to corrupt actors. At least he stands by his principles.
I'm wondering if by continuing the lawsuits, they couldn't deport him until they resolved those lawsuits. So it's a good way to make sure that you can stay a little longer.
And he kept getting all the lower courts overturned over him.
Okay.
And that's because old Supreme Court Justice Murphy, old school guy from Michigan, who loved individual rights and individual liberties, was one of the great dissenters in the Korematsu case. He writes a great concurring opinion in the Harry Bridges case in the 1940. I think is the 41. It's either the 41 one or the 45. I think it's the 45 one about the immigration. And I recommend people read. If you want to know the background, Murphy lays it out. Murphy's like, look, all the most powerful corrupt institutions in this country are after this guy, so that's why we're going to protect him. And that was back when you had people like Douglas and Hugo Black on the Supreme Court who were willing to stand up, at least occasionally, to corruption in government. But so there are, if the only basis is his speech, he is in fact protected as a resident alien in the United States. Now, there's also differences dependent upon what status you are, right? So there's green cards for student purposes. That's a more limited purpose in which you are allowed to be here, like certain tourist visas, etc. If you are this is what they said was resident aliens, people who have that legal status within the United States, they have at least some First Amendment protection. And so now, as a policy matter, I do not favor deporting people based on their speech. I just don't. As a matter of policy, I think it's a bad path to go down. If, however, this guy engaged, as I've long said, I've separated out the BDS side, the side that's engaged in illegal activity. It's kind of going back to the Benjuv case, illegal activity versus words. If you're going after somebody because of speech, I don't agree with it. Now, you may be legally entitled to in certain instances, but that doesn't mean I think it's good public policy. If you're going after them because they're organizing violent interruptions of college campuses, like taking over buildings, doing violence to those buildings, threatening students, intimidating students, harassing students, things that go beyond speech. That's important, beyond speech. Beyond association, beyond expression, beyond petitioning the court, government for redress of grievance, then I think it's completely fair game to deport them. Well, but you got so many bad students. I hope the Trump administration focuses on the truly bad students.
Well, the question was
the students who are here to undermine our country, not just anybody that's anti-Israel.
So there's two things to this. So as the story was breaking, I was just asking non-judgmentally, like, what is the evidence for what they're accusing him of? And then everyone's like, oh, he said, I love Hamas. It's like, okay, just video. It's impossible that someone who's so prominent on social media, there'd be no videos of it. I think what I got is
I think Megyn Kelly did a breakdown where she did try to highlight the admissible evidence stemming from her legal background.
This was, I'll play the whole, it's a minute. It's the second half that's more important, but this was, call it the worst or the most damning.
Now, here's the other thing. Why is this guy a British spy? Why is he even in America in the first? Why did he get a green card in the first place? Why do we got British people that are getting money from the British spies in America? That's the part I don't like.
Well, there's so many nuances to this, but that's apparently he got his green card on an expedited basis because he fell in love and found a woman and then married her. She was American. But you know what? I'll play this. I'll play it. I'll play the whole thing. Here, listen to this. But as far as the evidence goes, this was the best of it. Why can I not play this? Ah ouais, donc, qu'est-ce qui se passe ici? Here. Okay. I'll get the audio in a second. Am I not able to manipulate? I can't manipulate the damn thing here.
Encryptus.
I'm going to send it to Encryptus. We'll bring it up. This was, as far as I'm concerned, the worst one. I don't know if it's not my fat fingers.
Well, I mean, some of these people, I mean, to respond to the Glenn Greenwalds and Michael Tracy's of the world, some of these people were actually putting out stuff like giving to Jewish students, celebrating October 7th, showing images of people parachuting in. Okay, yeah. That's my example of harassing conduct. If you're targeting Jewish students to say, remember this, ha ha ha, different. That's like church burning. That's like cross burning on somebody's lawn. No longer really speech. If it's just, hey, I think you should divest from Israel, that's speech that I don't think public policy-wise we should be overly concerned with.
So I was just asking for the evidence. Everyone's like, he said and did this. Here's a video which masked people. I don't even know how they knew it was him. And so the most damning one, if Encryptus can bring it up, because I can't seem to manipulate my keyboard, was him basically saying, we're here for as long as it takes. And if the NYPD and other authorities come in, we will have other means to achieve our ends. Something along those lines.
Well then, yeah. Good. Welcome to Gaza, buddy.
And
if you're going to organize illegal activities while you're on a green card, you're too stupid to be introduced into America. You're only dangerous. You're just too dumb. I'm just sorry. You get a British. You were able to weasel your way into a British intelligence, weasel your way into some idiot marrying you, some lefty marrying you, and then you go on tape how you're going to occupy a building illegally? So you've got to be an idiot. Like I said, I don't mind criminals. I don't mind stupid people. I mind when they marry each other. When you get stupid criminals. They're the worst. This guy's a Darwin Award winner.
This is a video. You can't deny that it's him, and there's no argument that maybe it's not him. Okay, this is what he said.
Gathered thousands of students here. They actually gathered thousands. Here. They're not treating this as an anti-war movement. Okay, an anti-war movement that actually gathered thousands of students here. That
Hold on, just wait for people.
Thousands of students across the United States.
Okay, how far are you all willing to go here on campus?
We're going to go as far as we need to pressure the university to pressure the university to divest from the occupation. This is up to the group, to the leadership of the group, to decide how far they will go. But now it's clear that the students will remain here. They will stay here until they achieve their demands.
Okay, so that is.
All right, so he wins a free one-way ticket to the Gaza Strip.
No, well, the thing is, I think he's from Syria. I think he's from Syria, actually. I don't even think he's from Gaza. Or maybe his parents
I think he'd probably prefer to go to Gaza right now than Syria. His buddies are probably in charge there in Syria. He might like some of those folks that are in Syria. Who knows?
Now, if that is and people there's other evidence out there that people think is him, whatever. If that were the most damning, is that in your view?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Because it's coordinating illegal conduct, illegal activity, criminal activity. You're dumb enough to say it on TV. I mean, he's trying to back off a little bit. He's like the elected group that does it. Okay, but you're the spokesperson for them. Okay, that's a problem. What he could have said was, I have no role in that. They're going to make their decisions. We will comply. What I would have always said is we'll comply with the law, et cetera, et cetera. But clearly this guy is the objection ordinary Americans have is, why are we giving green cards to American universities to people who hate America and want to overturn America? Yeah, I agree with that. Now, to me, if you're engaged in free speech, even if you hate America, that in your speech, that you're really celebrating America by your speech, because it's free speech here in America.
That's a good
argument.
So
that I've never minded. But organizing illegal activities like the takeover of campus buildings to obtain another political agenda, that's just not politically protected conduct under the First Amendment for these purposes. So that's not petitioning the court for redress of grievance.
No, and Glenn, I'm not picking a fight with Glenn because I like him. I just disagree with his assessment here. Is trying to compare it to this other guy whose name is Davidai. What's the other guy's name? Shai Davidai, who people are saying,
comparing it to some Israeli students, who have been very aggressive in their advocacy.
Yeah, well, I know, and I asked him for the most egregious videos of Shai Davidai breaking the law or causing a problem to foreign policy.
I know of no evidence of that, right?
No, well, and I didn't get anything. Then there's a New York Times article, which there's a New York Times article which purportedly mentioned it, which he referenced me. He says, go read the New York Times article. And I did. And even in the New York Times article, it says the statement from Columbia University didn't specify what behavior led to the decision to temporarily limit his access to the campus of this guy. And I haven't seen a video of him that nearly proximately relates, or at least compares to what we saw.
Illegal activity.
All right. Well,
and so we'll see what happens with him. I think they're right to, but here the Trump is trying to fix a problem the Biden administration created and the Obama administration created, which was we were giving out. I mean, what is it? 30%, 40% of students at Ivy League are foreigners. Well, we should not be giving out these green cards. People should have to prove they're loyal to American values before they step inside our country. Period.
And that is what everyone's like, Viva. On the one hand, people said, Viva, you're Jewish, you want him gone. Then everyone's like, Viva, you're on a visa, you don't want people being able to be kicked out. I got a little nervous with some of my tweets. You know, like if I don't support Biden and Kamala, if she had gotten elected president,
well, you fall within the Harry Bridges protection, and that's Supreme Court protection speech. It's just don't go out and organize illegal behavior. How hard is that?
Well,
you got into this dude got into Columbia. And he couldn't figure out, don't record yourself on TV committing illegal behavior. I mean, I'm sorry, I have zero sympathy for the dude.